Hi folks, this is James Tomlinson and we're up here at the reservoir in Cumnock. This is Borland Trout Fishery. And what I hope to do today is try and go over a wide variety of different casting techniques, particularly distance casting, but at the moment a technique which a lot of people find difficult is casting into the wind. Quite a few instances that's where most of the best fish are caught, when the wind is blowing towards you. So what I'll be doing today is using a wide variety of different rods and lines, 5, 6, 7 and 8, all weight forward lines, just standard trout fly lines. These are the ones most commonly used for still water fishing. So we start right away by mentioning that casting into the wind presents a problem with some people. They put too much body movement, they're actually casting far too wide an arc. Now when you do that, you form a very wide line loop, and you'll notice how the loop has got no speed. The wind catches the loop of line and blows the line back towards you. You want to have a condensed power stroke where you actually stop just beyond 12 o'clock, allow the line to straighten, and then cast lower on your forward power stroke. Now what I'm doing here is holding this section of line approximately 2 feet from the butt ring. Now keep that under tension, and that section transfers the tension right through the whole line, and that gives it much more speed. And you see how by that simple movement the line can be presented in the forward cast without any great difficulty. Now a technique when you're fishing into the wind which is very useful, at the moment the line straightens the forward cast, if you give a slight pull back with your right arm, you can see how you can actually straighten the leader and you get a good presentation onto the water. So what I'm doing, starting from a very low position, bringing the rod just beyond 12 o'clock and then going into the forward cast and pulling slightly back so that I get a good presentation onto the water surface. And always think in terms, the line is a continuation of the rod tip. If you, for example, you have a lot of coils in the line before you lift, it takes longer to get any compression in the tip of the rod. But if you cast with a very straight movement and straight line from the rod tip, it's much easier to cast forward. So lift it up, pause, and then go into your forward cast. And notice how I'm actually slightly pulling down on the forward cast to increase the speed of line through the air, and I'm not waving my arm around, I'm casting a very condensed power stroke, and that gives much better chance for the line to be propelled forward without any great difficulty. If you see how the line is more or less a continuation of the rod tip, lower the rod tip, hold that under tension, allow the line to straighten, and then cast forward. And every time you do the completion, slightly pull back with your right arm, and that helps to straighten out the leader. Now you can even cast a fair length of a line, shooting the line into the wind. If you watch me taking some line, leaving it at the ground, you can make sure that the line is always lifted off cleanly. And if I just unravel this point here, take the line and leave it at my feet, you can see how the line can be shot by that simple pull on the forward cast, and it gives you more distance into the wind. Low down, pause, and then see the whole line can be shot out. I'm actually just slightly pulling down and increasing the speed on the forward delivery. If you watch the line lying on the ground here, you can see how by that simple pull and a condensed power stroke, you haven't any great difficulty of casting into the wind. Pull up, forward, and the whole line can be shot out. Now another thing to try and think about is don't separate the planes in the back and the forward cast. If, for example, you took your hand to the side, that creates a very wide loop of line, and that gives much more air resistance. So what I'm actually doing, I'm moving in the same plane in the back in the forward cast, and that gives a much cleaner and a much better delivery onto the water. I'm actually lifting, same plane, and then casting the forward cast. Lift up, pause, lift, stop, and the line shoots out. If, for example, you took your hand to the side, then bring it back into your body, as some people do, particularly beginners, this great loop of line is affected by the wind and air resistance, and it cuts down the effectiveness of the line going through the wind in front of you. Now there's the wind directly in front. If you watch here, It's quite simple to cast a fair length of line simply by pulling down, lifting up, pause. Always remember to give that slight pull back, and that helps to straighten the leader out. Another good thing to remember is you don't want too long a leader when you're actually casting into the wind. The leader I have on at the moment is roughly 8 feet, 6 and 9 feet with a single fly. If you have much more beyond 12 feet, it can be difficult to get the leader turning over. But even though you are fishing a longer leader, that technique by pulling down helps to straighten it out and gives a much better presentation. There's the wind picking up, and you can see how you can drive. This is actually a weight forward 7 line. You can see how you can actually drive the whole line. Lift, pause. Line can be short out. Now I'd like now to go into a weight forward 5. This is quite difficult for some people to get lighter lines going through a fairly stiff breeze. The thing is, to get distance in casting, you either have to have two things: one, a heavier line, or speed up a lighter line. So obviously when you're casting with a 5 weight outfit, you'll notice here that I'm actually casting a fair bit faster, and that helps to speed up the whole line through the air. If, for example, you slow down with a lighter line, the wind can greatly affect it. So what I'm doing here, I'm actually casting much faster with this lighter outfit. You can see you can still penetrate a fairly stiff breeze with light equipment. Lift up, pause. This is actually it's a sinking line I'm on at the moment, and you can see how by keeping the tension, lift up, you can still penetrate with quite a fair distance with light equipment. Quite a lot of people are getting into the habit of using lighter equipment when they're fishing for trout in still waters, and it's useful to be able to combat any of the techniques which you might encounter. So if you watch your lift up, pause, you can see the whole line. If you take the whole, this is a 30-yard line, you can see you can get the whole line shot into the wind purely by that strong pull in the forward cast. But also I'm speeding up the whole movement of the casting stroke to combat the difference in line weight. So speed up, pause, the line can be shot out. Now to do a few casts with a very, very light outfit. This is a 4 weight outfit. A lot of people slightly put off by using extremely light outfits. I use quite a lot of 4 and 5 weights when I'm now fishing in still waters. The thing you must remember is that you must cast a lot faster. The line's so light. So if you visualise the forward stroke, if you have a hammer and you're turning your hand over very fast with that hammer, that speeds up the line through the air. And you can see how even with a very, very lightweight outfit, you can still propel the line through the water simply by turning over extremely fast and give this sharp pull on the forward power stroke, and that increases not only the speed of the whole line, it tightens up the line loop, and by turning over the hand simultaneously you can actually drive a very light line into a fairly stiff breeze. If you watch here, I'll pull some line off and you can see how you can shoot quite a fair length of 4 weight line into that breeze coming towards us. Just pull up, pause, and then see the line can actually be shot out. And that's because you're actually increasing the speed and also you're condensing the power stroke. The loop is very narrow going through the air. What you definitely don't want with a light outfit is to have a wide loop of line, because look what happens, it's so light that the line's just blown back towards you. Speed up, just lift up, speed and turn. 1, lift. You see how you can get a fair length of 4 weight line into a fairly stiff breeze simply by slight change in technique as a power stroke's going forward. Just simply turn over and aim pretty low near the water, and remember that pull back with your right arm to straighten out the leader. Pull back and up, pause, pull, and that gives a much better turnover at the completion of the cast. So it's all about speeding up the whole line, and obviously as we go on to the more advanced distance casting technique, if you have the two pulls and double haul, you can see how you can actually, with a 4-weight line, propel a fair length of line into the wind. If you pull the whole line out, you can, by speeding up the overall casting stroke, the whole line can actually be shot into that fairly stiff breeze. But always remember to, there's actually a fish rose at the wool in front there, just pull, back, forward,